This is Reuters Today. We start with a stark warning from the IMF.
In advanced economies, growth is now too low to make a substantial dent in unemployment. And in major emerging markets, growth, which had been strong earlier, has also decreased.
Ahead of a meeting in Japan this week, the fund has cut its global growth forecast for the second time since April. And it's warning US and European policymakers that things will get worse if they don't fix their economic ills. But there was some brighter news for emerging economies.
We do not see these developments, be it in China, India or Brazil, as signs of a hard landing in any of these countries. Indeed, we see positive policy measures being taken in all three countries.
German Chancellor Angela Merkel arrives in Greece today. Safe to say she won't be the most popular visitor Athens has ever had. 6,000 riot police will be deployed during her 6-hour visit in an attempt to turn the city into a no-go area for protesters. The visit is a show of support for the coalition government's reforms. Well, I'm joined now by Berenberg Bank's Christian Schultz. Christian, it's not just Merkel who's offering her backing to Greece. Last night we had Lagarde and Juncker also offering words of comfort and support, but the reality is much more sombre, isn't it?
Well, there has been a shift in the position towards Greece since the last elections. Clearly, the Germans, but also the IMF, more countries, more institutions want to keep Greece in the euro, and not just because of the risks that a messy Greek euro exit could still pose, but also because of the progress that the new government has made. Really, this government is the last chance. After this government, any new government would probably involve the radical left. So everybody wants to make this work. But clearly, behind the scenes, there is a rift between especially the IMF on the one hand side and the Europeans on the other, and the Germans in particular. Germany wants to keep Greece in the euro, but they don't want to put up more money. And the IMF, who makes the calculations, comes up with figures which show that by 2020, Greece is very unlikely now to get to the 120% debt to GDP ratio that the IMF wants to see.
Yes, sorry to interrupt, but I think everyone agrees that Greece won't meet its target. So, frankly, the German position is, you could say, untenable.
Well, the German position is untenable if you really want to have 120% debt to GDP level by 2020 under current assumptions about growth and so on over the next 8 years. However, these 120% debt to GDP ratio is an arbitrary number, which the IMF sticks to sort of slavishly. So the compromise could be somewhere in between. Germany does not want to put up any new money ahead of next year's elections. The IMF wants to know now what will happen over the next few years to Greek funding. A compromise will be forged, and the Europeans have one big ally on the other side of the Atlantic. The American government also does not want the Greek situation to spiral out of control again ahead of the elections.
Of course. Just one quick question on Spain. Still no formal request, but surely now it's just a question of when, not if.
Well, we are in a bit of a fragile equilibrium at the moment, which is ideal for everybody. The Spanish don't want to ask for a bailout. Right now, they've not lost market access. The yields are sustainable at the moment, the 10-year below 6% or around 6%, the 2-year around 3%. And for the Germans also, they don't want to have a Spanish bailout when actually Spain still has market access. And the markets think, well, they could ask for help any time, so let's not punish them with the yields. But this can change any time, and we do expect Spain to ask for a bailout at some point over the next few weeks.
Indeed. And OK, finally, Christian, very quickly if you can, the ESM is now up and running. How important a step will this prove to be?
Well, it's not big news, but it just shows that the new Eurozone architecture, all the different puzzle pieces fall into place. And the ESM is clearly very important because over the next few years, that's going to reassure markets, hopefully. OK,
Christian, thank you very much. In corporate news, billionaire Phil Anschutz has kicked off the auction of his Anschutz Entertainment Group. Sources tell Reuters the owner of the O2 Arena in London and the LA Galaxy soccer team should draw bids of around $10 billion. BHP Billiton says it's cutting jobs in its profitable iron ore business as it battles weaker demand and higher costs. And just 24 hours now until deadline day for any tie-up between EADS and BAE Systems. British opposition to an increased French stake is the latest obstacle. A US report has stopped China Telecom's expansion hopes, raising fears of retaliation. Reuters' John Gordon is in Hong Kong. John, Congress saying Huawei and ZTE's equipment could be used for spying. How's this going down in China?
Not very well, I'm afraid. It looks like a very aggressive stance. At least that's the reaction to it here in China. The U.S. committee saying that there's credible allegations of bribery, corruption, discrimination, and copyright infringement. Although they're not calling for a full boycott, only networking devices that process data on a large scale. Now, for Huawei, that's the world's second biggest router and switch and telecom maker. That certainly would be a massive deal breaker for trying to get into the U.S. Now, Huawei, for its part, has said that the allegations are baseless and a political distraction ahead of this election. ZTE says it profoundly disagrees with some of the statements in this document, and it also notes it only has about $30 million worth of telecom equipment revenue in the U.S. But ZTE shares down 7.8% on last check, so a very stern reaction here. Huawei not listed yet, but it could affect its listing plans in the near future.
Wow, interesting. And politics also having a big impact on Japanese automakers in China.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the disruption, the dispute over the island has led to a serious disruption in sales there. We've seen the numbers absolutely falling off a cliff in China. Nissan down 35% in September, Honda down 40%, Toyota down nearly 50%, really highlighting the power of the anti-Japanese sentiment there. Now, the fall in showroom traffic and sales happened mid-September, so it'll be very interesting to see how this carries on into October when we have a full month of sales. But that said, historically, these sort of blips of ill sentiment have not lasted very long. In 2005, we saw the same thing, and it really petered off. Shares of those Japanese companies down between 1.5 and 2.5%. OK, John, thank you very much. Well, that's it for now. I'll leave you, though, with news of what's likely to be the big hit of the holiday season. Angry Birds Star Wars. Toy company Hasbro has teamed up with Lucasfilms and Rovio, the makers of Angry Birds, to produce and distribute the new line. 10 toys will be launched in November, along with Star Wars characters remodelled into Angry Birds and Bad Piggies. Demand likely to be a force of nature. I'm Jamie McGeever. This is Reuters.